What's going on YouTube? I still can't believe what just went on in UFC 278. Man, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 2 was way more than I expected it to be. Which is crazy thinking about Kamaru Usman. You know, he's number one in the pound for pound rankings for UFC. Uh, Longest active winning streak in the UFC, I do believe. And just the most dominant champion in the sport right now. And he put on a performance today. Um, I have to say Kamaru Usman is so impressive because being at 35, he still gets better every single time you go out and watch him fight. And today it just was not enough. Um, First round, they came out there scrapping. Kamaru Usman was putting on a performance. Leon Edwards trips him while Kamaru Usman is going for a takedown. I don't realize how close this table is to the wall. But Leon Edwards trips him and nearly gets Kamaru Usman in a rear naked chokehold, which is the only way Kamaru Usman had ever lost a fight in the UFC before, only in his second MMA appearance. And after the first round, after that, Kamaru Usman fought it off for like at least a minute and a half, putting on great submission defense. And after that, it was all Usman the whole fight. And it was looking like your typical Kamaru Usman masterclass. He was getting the takedowns, leaning on him. The classic Kamaru Usman foot stomp, gets the boos like usual. And, you know, round after round, taking him down, wearing him out, ground and pound. And he was walking away with it. Daniel Cormier was on the broadcast saying that they had written their eulogy. They were reading the eulogy, and the fight was over. I was talking so much smack leading into this fight about Leon Edwards, and I really did not see him coming out with any chance of winning this fight. And it really seemed like there was very little chance. And he went out there and did it. 55 seconds left in the 5th round of the fight, and he lands that beautiful left head kick and cleans up Kamaru, has him stiff as a board on the ground. And I was shocked. I'm still shocked. I still can't believe it. Going into this fight, I was saying that I'm not picking against Kamaru Usman until he loses. And little did I know it was going to be today. Kamaru Usman had been looking like, and really is the hungriest person in the UFC, hungriest fighter in the UFC. And that's hard to do as a defending champion, somebody who's as decorated as he is at this point. And he just continues to improve and get better and come out there like in the zone, in the mentality. And, you know, he had the fight in the bag, and that persistence that he always has kind of ended up being his downfall. He had it wrapped up and was still out there just going for it, still out there in the line of fire, and Leon connected on something. I don't think Leon is going to have a very long reign as the UFC champion. You know, Kamaru defending his title as many times as he has, you know they're going to throw him in there with an immediate rematch, and I do think that as hungry as he had been before, he has to be hungrier now. So you know, however long it takes for them to get the rematch out, he's going to come out there laser focused and just a completely new level of beast. I think this might be an event that propels his career even further because the dude is scary, man. A lot of the things that they say about like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, like he's always out there making it personal. Like you can tell, like that dude has a chip on his shoulder every fight, no matter how much he's proved. And now he has a little bit more to prove. So I think the trilogy fight will come out soon. Really excited about that card today, and it definitely gave us what we needed. And then you got the co-main event, Luke Rockhold out there against Paulo Costa. Luke Rockhold is making his UFC return after a few years in other organizations. After he had, fallen from the glory of his short but impactful championship days, Luke Rockhold was a longtime veteran of the UFC, and that guy, he's always putting on tough performances. He's had many classic fights and was just like a staple fighter for the UFC for a long time. So it was nice to see him come out there. What ended up being one last time, he did retire after that fight today, and Luke Rockhold still had a lot of smoke in him, man. Like, he was throwing shots. He was just like really, and a guy like Paulo Costa, who is like a tank of a human being. That guy has so much firepower. And Luke Rockhold was out there really going toe-to-toe with him for a lot of those 3 rounds. And he took a lot of damage for sure. He was gassed after just the first round, basically. And I don't want to doubt the guy's training camp. He is getting up there in years, and he does have some mileage on him. But I would have liked to see him come out there in like some better conditioning. But he put on a really good fight, lost the unanimous decision. I don't think there was any contest about that, but it was nice to see him out there one time and see that he still had that firepower, still had those shots. And then you got Jose Aldo, bantamweight fight against Merab Bashvili, I think that is. Can't lie, I had not seen Merab fight before, but going into the fight, I know that Jose Aldo was a very close favorite, being ranked above Merab, but Jose Aldo is starting to get up there as well, and that's another guy that's been in just a lot of wars, man. Like, he's taken a lot of damage in the UFC, and he had been on a little win streak recently, but hasn't been at his championship level in some years, and a lot of times I like to see guys like that. I'd rather them hang it up early than hang it up too late. Don't want to be a guy like Robbie Lawler I talked about in my last UFC coverage. You don't want to be a guy where the sport retires you. You want to retire on your own accord. So I don't know how many more fights we'll see out of Jose Aldo, but it's nice to see him in there still, being really competitive at a high level. There was also some good boxing today. Alexander Usyk was fighting against Anthony Joshua. Haven't seen that fight yet. I know Usyk won a unanimous decision. Seems like he won pretty decisively, but I was at work, missed the fight. Haven't watched the replay yet. But I did get to catch another fight on the main card. Badu Jack fighting against Richard, the Popeye, the Sailor Man, Rivera. That was his name. It was my first time seeing him fight, and that was a super close fight. Rich came out, giving Badu Jack a highly seasoned veteran, really good run for his money in what was the biggest fight of his career up to this point. Richard Rivera was coming in 21-0, I do believe he was, and an interesting stat that the announcers threw out there was that in his 5 previous fights, only one of his opponents had a winning record, but that guy still had like 28 losses on his record. And I really just had to talk about how boxing as a sport, and somehow they still end up like being more lucrative than UFC as far as like the fighters themselves go, but boxing just has turned into like such an icky mess of just different promotions, different companies, different belts. And one of the biggest things I hate about boxing right now that I feel like makes it less marketable than the UFC is that the road that these guys are taking up to the top is so wishy-washy. Like, they have a talented fighter, throw him out against a bunch of bums, basically just like try to juice him up, get him to like a 30-0 record as fast as possible, because like that's all guys want to be now. Guys only want to be undefeated, and those are the only people that are like getting like a whole lot of the push until they get to the star level. And you got this guy fighting a bunch of bums, and then he comes up against Badu Jack, a guy who's been a champion at 2 different weight classes, been in the game for like at least 10, 15 years fighting at the top level. And he gives him a run for his money, and Badu Jack pulls out a split decision at the end. But like, imagine if you built this guy up, like step by step. Giving him some tougher fights, some tougher opponents, and going out there and like taking chances, and just to be competitive and learn a bit more. I like to think that if this guy, had like a little bit of a better experience with more adversity in his career, that he would be able to pull out a fight like that against Badou Jack late. But the guy's still young, still has a lot ahead of him, and now I know who the guy is, and I'm excited to see him fight again. But until next time, this has been another episode of the Student Athlete Show. Still working on this new set that I have here. I've been moving, that's why I've been a little MIA recently, but I'm back at it. And let me know what you guys are thinking about the set I got up so far. Still going to be working on this, and I'll see you guys really soon. Peace.